Hello there once again and welcome to The Verdict. Mick Cornett with Kent Myers. We're glad you're here. We're here every week meeting interesting people and dealing with topical issues, and we welcome back an old friend today.
Indeed, Mike McCarville is going to talk to us about a look back at the 2012 general election, both nationally and in Oklahoma. Got a lot to talk about in that regard. We're very interested in Mike's take on some of the results. Some of them were surprising, some were not, I guess. Or I'll just be interested in what he has to say about it, but I believe it'll be interesting for you.
Legislative session's just around the corner. It'll start heating up. Mike McCarville, today's guest on The Verdict. Stay with us.
Prices at the pump are hitting new highs this week. In other news,
gasoline is expected to top $4 a gallon this week.
Expect drivers seeing sticker shock at the pump.
OPEC has raised the price of oil again, and Wall Street worries.
Well, a full tank of gas is going to set drivers back.
Straight ahead, the latest news on
If you need big accounting firm expertise but aren't happy with the value or level of partner engagement from your current national firm, contact Hogan Taylor. Hogan Taylor provides national-level public accounting expertise with high-touch, local partner service in all areas of tax, audit, business valuation, and litigation support. Contact us at hogantaylor.com/The Verdict. Hogan Taylor, big enough to know, small enough to care.
Welcome back to the set of The Verdict. Mick Cornett with Kent Myers, and Kent's going to introduce today's guest.
Today we're really pleased to welcome back once again to the set of The Verdict our most frequent guest, Mike McCarville. He's a former news director and talk show host at KTOK. He's the creator of the McCarville Report. He's been an advisor to candidates and campaigns over many, many years. And for me, he's Mr. Oklahoma politics. We want him to come in today and talk about the most recent election and what are the things he's taken from it. Mike, welcome back. Glad to have you.
Always a pleasure to be with you, gentlemen.
Well, what jumps out at you from the 2012 elections, local or state or national?
Well, let me start with the national, if I may, Mick. I have been somewhat amused the last week and a half. All the recriminations even from some Republicans saying, oh, you know, the party's got to do this, the party's got to do that, we got to be more conservative, we got to be less conservative. We got to do this, we got to do that because Mitt Romney lost. Look, Mitt Romney lost because of Mitt Romney. That's the bottom line. Lousy campaign, as I said from the get-go, until the last 3 weeks. His campaign finally got some focus. Up to that point, it had been, from a campaign management point of view, it had been a disaster. I mean, the right hand didn't know what the left hand was doing. They were making all these gaffes, verbal and otherwise. It was a lousy campaign. Yeah. And if they had put it together, they might have stood a lot better chance than they did. Also, the impression of Mitt Romney by a lot of people that this was a guy with a silver spoon. You know, I mean, you know, he's hoity-toity, high-dollar guy, can't relate to people, and the Obama campaign did a pretty good job of labeling him.
It still matters to voters.
It does, indeed.
You could say that he has some qualities of an elitist. And some people seem to think they want a president who understands their pain, understands their position in life.
I agree. Now, the bottom line question to me is, would Mitt Romney have been a good president? Unequivocally, yes. I think he would have been an outstanding president because he understands all that stuff. But I mean, he got beat up in the campaign. And, you know, let me say the unsaid. I think Mitt Romney's Mormonism hurt him in a lot of places, particularly in the South. I don't think it was a deciding factor, but I think it helped keep his percentages down in some states, and that affects obviously not the electoral vote, but the popular vote. So I think that was a factor too. All in all, you know, the Republican Party in the last 2 election cycles, we've nominated, in what in my opinion, have been some of the weakest candidates around. John McCain. I mean, I knew from the get-go that was a fait accompli. He wasn't going to win. And Mitt Romney, kind of the same way.
Well, they've nominated centrist Republicans and tried to shore up the base with a vice presidential candidate, and that strategy is 0 for 2.
Exactly worked. It has not worked. As good a selection as Paul Ryan was, in my opinion, it just didn't take. People didn't focus on Ryan. They focused on Romney.
What's your take about the talk after the election about the storm helped Obama and Chris Christie and Obama's being seen together?
I think the superstorm did help Obama. It took away, in my opinion, some of Romney's momentum, focused attention. People were talking about that rather than the presidential campaign, and Obama's handling of it. He didn't make a mistake, and Chris Christie's comment didn't help Romney at all. Although I think, you know, anybody who's watched Chris Christie, the governor of New Jersey, knows he's going to say exactly what he thinks.
Yeah.
And I think he said exactly what he believed, what he felt. And the bottom line is Obama was a help to him and to New Jersey. And I think that's kind of the lumps, if you're a Romney campaign, that's some of the lumps you take when circumstances intervene in a campaign.
First 4 years of Barack Obama saw a pretty left of center leadership.
Oh my goodness.
Is it going to be different in the second time around?
No, I think it's going to be worse. I think it'll be worse. I think we'll see more czars. I think we'll see buku more regulations. And those of you who are involved in cities better pay a whole lot of attention to those regulations. People in small business better pay a whole lot of attention. We never know what's going to come down. I tell you, Barack Obama in his first 4 years literally has changed a lot of things in this country, in my opinion, not for the better. And I think the jury's out on how serious what he's done is going to be, but we'll find out in time.
What's your take on the first debate of the 3 presidential debates?
Oh, I think Romney knocked it out of the park.
But how can you explain Obama's apparent lackadaisical performance?
I can't. I don't understand that. I think people would probably be trying to figure that out. I mean, it was almost like he wished he wasn't there.
Yeah, I'll analyze that for you.
Yeah.
What I think the president was expecting Romney to go on the attack, and the president was going to try and be above the fray. And then when Romney didn't come out on the attack, his strategy didn't work anymore, and he was unprepared for a more sensible conversation.
That is a plausible explanation to me. I don't know. That's possible.
The response to the first debate seemed to be the last final high point for Romney.
Well, it was.
And after that,
it was.
everything went
His
down.
campaign started gaining steam, and then the superstorm intervened.
How about the Electoral College? Can I?
Oh gosh,
Why do we still have the Electoral College?
Because it's in the Constitution.
That's right.
And you just can't extract it, or we're just doomed?
There has been a movement, as you know, that originated on the West Coast.
If a person that lives in Oklahoma and is not interested in local or state politics, they really don't believe their vote matters much, and that just does not seem. That doesn't seem like what the people that designed the Constitution had in mind.
Yeah, I know. It's. Well, there are those who say, Mick, and a lot of people believe this, that it's a throwback to a previous time that's no longer operable or should not be operable. But it is, and as Kent just observed, it's in the Constitution, and that is the system.
Well, if you're starting from scratch, you wouldn't come up with the Electoral College.
No, but back then, it made a whole lot of sense, I guess.
Well, our forefathers were very thoughtful in making the Constitution very hard to change.
That's correct,
and they
absolutely.
were correct in doing that, and they did that about as well as they did anything. And it's hard to change that Constitution.
Who would fight change on that? What group would come up and say, no, it's a good system?
Oh, I think there are any number of groups that would. I'm not sure the Republican Party per se would embrace that, or the Democratic Party for that matter. Might be surprised.
Because they're so, at this point, embedded
in the current system. In the system. That's right. And you know, this movement that started on the West Coast to change it to just the popular vote didn't go anywhere. I mean, it kind of started to get off the ground, and Larry Darabur, the former Democratic Attorney General here, an attorney in town, was one of those pushing the change. and it just never got off the ground.
The selection process for our candidates has been recently compared, and the campaign recently compared to the English system of a very short campaign, 2 or 3 months at most.
Oh, please.
Is our presidential campaign system just out of whack?
In my opinion, it's out of control, but it isn't going to change.
Yeah.
These people, the candidates for president, have discovered that they can raise buku dollars by running longer campaigns. It gives them more time to maneuver, more time to recover from gaffes, if you will, verbal or otherwise. But I mean, these campaigns now, the presidential campaigns, essentially are 3.5 years long. I mean, this last one certainly was. And it appears that, this one's going to be the same way.
Yeah, I mean,
Marco Rubio from Florida is already out raising money, talking about running for
He
president.
went to Iowa.
Yeah.
There you go. I didn't know he'd already been there.
Oh,
He'd
yeah.
already been to
Oh,
Iowa?
yeah.
That is
He's making the
early.
rounds.
That is early.
I guess it is, yeah.
Let's get to a break. Mike McCarville's our guest today on The Verdict. We'll have one more segment with Mike when we return.
The thing that has made the most sense for me is realizing that I am still an educator, and that is what I do at the Chickasaw Nation. I'm Dr. Amanda Cobb-Greetham. I'm a historian, and I'm Chickasaw. The Chickasaw Cultural Center is amazing. It is a very, very special place devoted to the sharing and to the celebration of Chickasaw history and culture. State-of-the-art technology, exhibits that are not like anything I've ever seen. The Spirit Forest is incredible, and you feel as if you have actually just walked into a forest with huge trees all around you. It's timeless, and yet it's sort of also representative of our time depth, to really just sort of reach through time and touch the past. By the end of the exhibits, you really have a sense of Chickasaw cultural and political resurgence, and the extent to which we are a healthy, dynamic, and vital tribe today. Chickasaws have always been an inclusive people. This is something for the whole community and for the state of Oklahoma.
Hear that? It's the sound of an industry, 83,000 strong, creating jobs for nearly 350,000. A $52 billion a year being pumped into our economy. It's the sound of Oklahoma's oil and natural gas industry, our heart for the state and our people. And it beats on and on and on.
When you have something important to communicate, it becomes clear that there's a lot of competition for your audience's attention. So how can your message stand out and actually resonate with your audience? Legal Graphics has the answers. The team at Legal Graphics will work with you to plan, design, and even test your presentation to ensure your message will be heard and remembered. Call Legal Graphics today to schedule an appointment. The readiness is all.
Welcome back to The Verdict. Our guest is Mike McCarville, and we're going to move now to state politics.
Mike, let's focus in on just one of the number of state questions that were on the ballot, and that's the one that takes the governor out of the pardon and parole system and leaves it up to the Pardon and Parole Board. What's your take on that?
Well, I guess I kind of have a unique perspective, if you will. I, as a reporter, as a newsman, I covered the Pardon and Parole Board 40 plus years ago. And then when I was in the governor's office, back in the late 60s, I was witness to the parole process taking place in the governor's office. I think it's a good move to remove the governor from the process. I tell you, it didn't happen with the governor I work for, and I don't think it's happened with Governor Fallin. But I know in years past there has been all kinds of rumors about, well, if you know so-and-so and so-and-so and you're a favorite of this attorney or that attorney, why, the governor will sign your parole, that kind of thing. And I know in decades way past, there was all kinds of talk about money changing hands to win paroles. And I think taking the governor out of that process, in my mind, kind of cleans up the process. Now the question is, do you trust the Pardon and Parole Board to process all of those without, if you will, what some people see as a safeguard, a stopgap in the governor? And I think you've got to trust him. I think it's a good move.
I don't know what other states have what kind of systems, but I've been told that Oklahoma was the last state to still have the governor
I think we were
involved.
one of the last two. May have been the last one.
It makes good in the movies, though, when the governor can.
Yes,
can-
it does.
can-
Commute a
can give
sentence
that
at the last second.
The 11th hour.
Well, no, I think the governor can still do that. But
Oh, really?
On pardon and parole, I don't know.
Okay, I didn't realize.
Oh,
that.
that's right, on commuting. Okay,
Yeah.
they could, yeah, definitely.
Hey, let's talk about the idea that just when you thought Oklahoma couldn't be more conservative, couldn't be more attuned to the Republican Party, we pick up one more congressional seat.
All Republican delegation now.
So so it's
Pick up more-
all 8 statewide elected officials,
pick-
all 5 congressional candidates, both senators, and I'll throw in the mayors of the 2 largest cities.
That's correct.
And
that's we pick up more seats in the Senate and the House.
That's about as clean of a I don't know, a Republican dominance as you
Now-
can possibly imagine.
The question, Mick, is what does the Republican Party and the Republicans who are elected, what do they do with that? Clearly, it's a mandate. Clearly, it's a belief that Republicans are better suited in this state, philosophically and otherwise, to manage state government. Now, we'll see how clean the Republicans can make it during the 4 years of dominance, if you will.
Okay, well, let's jump right in there. Is there going to be a reduction in the state income tax this year?
Well, a lot of people think so, but we didn't get one last year.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like it was set up last year. It was a slam dunk. and
It
didn't
was,
happen.
and it didn't happen, and a lot of people are not happy about that. So we'll see what happens. Now, let's talk for just a minute while we've got time about the Democrats and the Democratic Party in this state. The Democratic Party, for some reason, they keep electing as chairman and spokesman somebody like Wallace Collins, who's just about as liberal as you can get. And this guy stepping out during the campaign here in the state, supporting Barack Obama at every step, talking, following that same liberal national Democratic Party line. Simply, it hurt the Democratic Party. And I think it hurt some of their local candidates as well, because these candidates were running from the state party, running from the national party, running from Barack Obama. Didn't help them at all. And until the Democratic Party understands that and changes its leadership and changes its focus and its thrust, it's going to continue to be what it has become, and that's a non-entity, a non-player, if you will.
Certainly is a minority party.
Absolutely.
Aside from that, do you see any individuals out there that are Democrats that have a chance to make a name for themselves in an elective position in the next few years?
Wow.
For governor, for state senator, something like that. Who do you see as potentials to do such things?
I think it's a very short list right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
There are some I think who are trying to position themselves for a run at something, but I got to tell you, the smart Democrats right now, in my mind, those who aspire to higher office, they're not going to do anything very soon, because they see that, they read the handwriting on the wall. I had some people the other day say, well, Jerry Askins ought to run for governor again. Jerry Askins is not going to run for governor again. She took her race, and she's just going to stay right where she's at, doing fine in the quasi-public sector, I guess. And a lot of Democrats, I think, have that same opinion. And unless you've got a political death wish, why would you jump into the middle of this Republican tsunami? You wouldn't. It wouldn't make any sense.
What are citizens, voters, looking for out of the Republican Party? What are they expecting?
I think they're expecting clean government. I think they're expecting a tax reduction. I hear that a lot. The every morning coffee shop, 4 or 5 people sitting around, the conversation invariably turns to taxes and tax reduction. The bottom line is everybody feels like they're taxed to death. And this time of the year, if you get your tax statement and you look at it, you'll see that, by golly, you are being taxed a pretty good lick for everything from VOTEC schools to cities to counties to library system to, the schools, everything under the sun. And that's why our taxes, for example, on our homes and our property side.
Do you think a tax reduction is in any way tied with the health or the recovery, I should say, of the economy? In other words, our economy is recovering. The more it recovers, does that make a tax cut more likely?
I think it would, because I think it would help. It would fuel the economic recovery.
It could explain a tax cut.
That's right, and we've been blessed here in the state. Our tax collections are up, so state government isn't losing a whole lot of money, and cities, Mick, aren't losing a whole lot of money. And this argument that, well, we can't reduce taxes because then we got to make it up somewhere else.
Yeah.
And a lot of people say, What do you mean you got to make it up somewhere else? Let's cut state government. Let's cut the size of state government. Not increase it, not keep it where it is. Let's cut it. And the politicians who start talking like that, I think imperil themselves on down the road.
On the spending side, who benefits from a Republican administration? Infrastructure, education, where will the percentages of spending change?
I don't, well, given I mean, the comments that the governor's made and legislative leaders has made, I mean, Senator Bingman in the Senate's already out saying that education is going to be a priority this coming session. So I don't think you're not going to see any cuts, for example, in education, although there undoubtedly are areas that could be cut, public school administrative salaries for one. There are a lot of areas that could be cut, but I don't think Republicans are going to do much with education because they don't want to become labeled as being anti-education.
Right.
So the question there is, where else do you look? And that's a real good question, and I don't know the answer.
How does corrections? Can they cut any more there? They seem like they've cut a lot.
I think there is a sentiment that corrections needs to be cut because the perception is that corrections just keeps asking for more and more money. Supplemental this, supplemental that, 20 million, 10 million, whatever it is. And I think a lot of people are of a mind that it ought to be cut. I don't think it's going to be cut.
Well, a lot of the conversation goes to the incarcerating different people. In other words, we shouldn't be number one in the nation in incarcerating women.
Exactly.
Because the social cost of that are...
Well, the bottom line is most women who are in prison are not there for having committed violent crimes. Right. They're there for crimes against property or business or whatever hot checks, drug law violations, that kind of thing. And the argument's being made that, well, look, since they're not violent criminals, we can try rehab on them or see if that works. Let them go through rehabilitation, see if that works, and reduce the population that way. And that might work.
The Tea Party, both nationally and in Oklahoma, what's its future?
I think nationally, the Tea Party as a group probably is in pretty good shape. I think they supported a lot of candidates this time around who won. In the state of Oklahoma, I think the Tea Party advocates and supporters remain fairly strong. The Oklahoma Tea Party, I think, is in pretty good shape. Now, the Sooner Tea Party, which is a group headed by this Al Gerhardt, is so off the wall and off the charts, I don't think they've got much going on. They like to think they do, but they don't. But I think overall the Tea Party's in pretty good shape. But to say Tea Party implies it's a totally organized group. And that's not true. It's not.
Okay. About 40 seconds left. Give us something to look for in this upcoming legislative sessions statewide.
Can the Republican Senate and the Republican House and the Republican governor get along? Really, that's the bottom line to me. Where are they going to compromise? On what issues are they going to compromise? And who comes out the perceptual winner?
All right.
That's going to be the big question.
They seem to have good leadership at each of those
I would agree with that. It's going to be interesting to see.
All right. Mike McCarville, the guest today on The Verdict, making his 19th record appearance on our show. Thanks for coming
Keep paying me, guys.
Kent and I'll have a final word after this.
The good life comes naturally to Tulsa, where nature's beauty is matched with an eye for aesthetics. A legacy of neighborhoods graced with lawns and landscaping and handsome homes. A place that seems to have patented an ideal lifestyle. Bank First is loyal to the quality of life Tulsa assures its citizens, to the priority placed on education, culture, and growth. Loyal to builders who transform raw land into residential charm. Developers who see opportunity and add vitality to Tulsa's economy. Bank First serves both enterprise and private lives that need a loyal partner. It's how we help nurture this city's very good life. Bank First. Loyal to Oklahoma. Loyal to you.
All children deserve a life of hope and love, but sometimes they experience a life of pain, neglect, and abuse.
When that happens, each child deserves all the quality assistance and representation that can be offered in our legal system. For more information, call 23-CHILD.
Oklahoma Lawyers for Children, helping to bring hope and love back to the lives of abused children.
You will always be mom and dad to me.
I really think people are so unaware of the number of kids waiting just in Oklahoma. And I think if more people knew that those children were out there waiting, I think that just by the way we live our lives and the people we talk to, that maybe we can help encourage adoption from Oklahoma.
You will always be mom and dad to me.
The Journal-Record is pleased to be a sponsor of The Verdict. The Journal-Record, since 1903, the best source of Oklahoma business news and legal information.
And for almost 30 years, Oklahoma political, government, and business leaders have turned to the McCarville Report for accurate, reliable, inside information. Visit the McCarville Report online. Welcome back to the set of The Verdict. Mick Cornett and Kent Myers wrapping up a show with Mike McCarville.
Well, Mike's always good with his time and good with his advice, and it's interesting that his take is that the next 2016 presidential campaign has started.
Mm-hmm. Interesting to me that he accentuated on what to look for in this legislative session is, can the Republicans get along with the Republicans? Mm-hmm. Because they've got a clear majority and hold all the leadership positions. But if they're going to be a party that gets things done, then they've got to work together and prioritize in a like manner.
There are some indications that may be a problem, yeah.
All right, let's take a look at some website information. You can certainly find out more about Mike and his political knowledge on the McCarvilleReport.com. No, there's no the in there. McCarvilleReport.com. And of course, you can get information about this show on theverdict.tv. Log on, tell us about a guest you'd like to see. We'll see you next week on The Verdict.
The preceding program was produced exclusively for the Cox Channel.